I told you I was spending some time thinking about this team this weekend, and I came to I don't think it's ultimately the game ending decision, like the end game goal. That's what I wanted to say. For them to run this particular style of draft and this particular style of game, but I think for right now, they could beat almost any team if they ran a hyper carry draft centered around starting all over with the goal of setting the pace of the game and running at you. And if his teammates are not holding back or playing with any fear at all, if they follow starting into battle, there's a good chance they'll run teams over.
All right, well, let's head into the draft and see if Hammers Esports echoes Humanist's thoughts here. They are going to need to think about what sort of draft gets them there. We saw a hyper carry Baron earlier on today in Europe do very, very well. So there are drafts that exist in the meta right now that make sense there. Flicker as a first ban, that's pretty strange.
Flicker is one of only 2 heroes across all of Vainglory8 that has a 100% win rate. Again, pretty small sample size, but it's still a fact.
What Flicker does very well is shut the lane down, and if your team is dependent on having a very good laning situation, I think that's a decent pair.
So I'm just getting word, by the way, that Chicken123 is not starting today. Max Green is starting in his place.
Okay. That's going to be interesting. I don't have a whole lot of information about Max Green. We've seen him on a couple challenger level teams, and obviously the team is comfortable enough to have him as their backup player. But it'll be interesting to see what exactly sort of effect that makes into the match today. The Ringo ban I do want to touch on real quick for Rogue. That is just a huge pickup for starting all over. So they're completely just taking that off the board, making sure he doesn't get the opportunity to take it.
I'd really like to see this Adagio go to starting all over, I think. I feel like he's definitely one of those players that can make it work. And if you get into a bad situation, arguably having the heal followed by a massive AoE stun can get you out of it.
Well, I mean, half the time, Adagio, like, he wants to be in that bad, what we normally consider to be a bad situation, because then he just puts the heal on himself, gets the Gift of Fire down onto multiple targets. So maybe he can capitalize on some of the
problem is, like, starting, I think, is their best player. He's also their most aggressive player. And he almost has to have, like, a hyper carry that can initiate at the same time, and Adagio can't. So I'm not saying that, like, he wouldn't do good on it, but and I don't know if there is even the perfect hero for him with all those characteristics. But I think that's what it comes down to if we're looking for Hammers to win.
Well, we'll see what they decide to take off the board as their second ban, putting a lot of thought into it once that glaive came away. And again, you have to assume the Lyra was open, so you assume the Lyra's going to get picked up. And so now they're just trying to decide what they don't want Rogue to have.
Using a lot of their bonus time on this ban in particular, it's always tough to decide, okay, they've got the Lyra, what do we definitely not want to pair with it? Because there's so many things that go well with the Lyra. I think with the Adagio on their team, I might even take away something like a Kroll. You know, like Kroll is good into the Adagio, it's good with the Lyra.
Sib's talk last week was pretty dirty.
Yeah, that's another one for sure.
Also brings out the Mortal Wound, negates some of that healing coming out of the Adagio.
Might we see a Fortress this game? Has been popular, at least today.
Oh, I'm telling you. That's the kind of draft that Hammers need. They need like an Adagio Fortress +1. Run at you.
I would actually really like to see the Fortress come out from Rogue here. Put Fortress with a Lyra.
Oh, yeah.
That is so much movement speed. Like,
you're
not getting away from anything.
No.
So
what would you finalize it with? I mean, would you're putting the Captain Lyra in with the Jungle Fortress, and then what it goes to the lane?
Well, you could grab a Vox right now.
Yeah. Vox is open with the Ringo band. I think Vox would be a solid pickup. Gwen could work as well. You have plenty of options there, but we'll see. They're definitely taking their time now. Rogue after the Taka ban, so maybe they were thinking of that Taka.
It's going to be the Vox. I mean, they're playing the numbers here, honestly. This is a very strong pick right now.
Right, they have the 2, when you factor in heroes that have had more than 7 games or more played, Lyra and Vox are the 2 winningest. So right now, the numbers are favoring Rogue.
We just play the numbers. That's all we do.
I would love to see a team just like purely only draft like the heroes that have the highest win rates.
And then one game they get outdrafted and they just fold. Or done. Well, there's Fortress. I like this. I think this makes a ton of sense. And I think,
really like
you know,
this.
you're saying with Hammer specifically, it fits. I almost wish they'd picked the Lyra, though, because then they could have done Lyra with the move speed with Fortress like you were saying, and I feel like that would have been really good for Hammers.
I hope this is a a captain and Dagio.
And the jungle fortress, and then something in the lane here.
Yeah, like, and this is where you pull the Gwen or something else. That's not the route they're gonna take. It's gonna be just
Alpha
fine.
and Lyra, I mean, we see this so frequently not work out.
Yeah, not only that, but does this mean it's going to be a weapon alpha, or are we going to see double crystal come through? Because I don't see Adagio or Fortress going weapon power.
Weapon would be fine. I think weapon would be fine. You get the lifesteal coming out of Fortress. That'll be great. You can get the healing coming out of Adagio as needed, and it's just a front line you have to deal with. I mean, this is T-Tigers you're talking about here.
Yeah. I think weapon alpha is the way I'd go on this comp, to be honest. And I think something we got to acknowledge at the very least is that of the sort of frontline tankier, bruisery heroes, Alpha's probably one of the better ones suited to dealing with a Vox, because you have a lot of jumps on a very low cooldown. So yes, Bright Bulwark is going to be a problem there, but when it's on cooldown for like 17, 18 seconds, and then you just stick on top of the Vox.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because I don't know if we've actually had a weapon alpha thus far in Vainglory 8.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we have.
I think all of them have been crystal thus far, so this will be the first one, assuming that it does end up going that route. You know, a lot of people do just feel like the crystal alpha is a lot better, but sometimes, you know, these build paths that most teams aren't expecting end up being able to work really well. And again, this is a situation where I like the weapon alpha. Petal going to be the final pick for Rogue. That's an interesting lineup they've got there. Not a lot of tankiness, but a good amount of sustain.
Whenever you pile on to someone on Rogue's side, though, those Munions combusting can be pretty effective. You know, it's going to deal damage to Alpha and Fortress, who are trying to dive onto the backline whilst also sustaining their target.
This is tricky. This is a tricky one.
Tricky played earlier, man.
He didn't really.
Oh, wow.
Love you, Tricky.
That was cold.
I don't think the feeling's going to be mutual after that one.
Whatever. Don't show up on the overall #1 rated team in the community and not perform as well as your teammates.
Fair enough. But let's look at this match. Returning to it. Who is going to take this one, do you guys think? Based on the comps, game one, maybe not the whole series, just game one I want to hear about.
I think Rogue takes it.
It's sort of, I want to say Hammer so badly, but I'm just, the fact that starting all over is so inconsistent with his positioning, it just really makes me shy away from picking them.
And that's the thing, I'm sorry, that's the thing that makes you shy away, not like probably a weapon alpha?
No.
Okay.
I don't think there's much of an issue with the weapon alpha. In fact, I think I gave him the benefit of the doubt last week. I said he was going to fix the issues after game #1. I think during the week, he probably, I hope, put in some work. I think he fixes the issues. I'm going Hammers.
All right, well, let's see if he has made it happen. Keep your eyes on starting all over as we head onto the Halcyon Fold with Dalsy and Jingyi.
This is very interesting, as you say. We do have the Hammers lineup here with so much talent, but perhaps a little bit of inconsistency can hold them back. It is going to be them going forward, and make note of the Dragon Blood contract that Max Green has purchased on this fortress. They're going to be looking for a little bit of early aggression onto Rogue, and we'll be able to steal away this tree and straight off the bat here. It's not over yet, man. Hammers want blood, and blood they will find as first blood goes to T-Tigers, and now he's looking for Sibs as well. Leave the Petal alone. She's just a cute little UFO alien trying to fly away to her turrets, but it's not going to happen. They focus onto Evo, looking for their second kill, and they'll find it. A third, perhaps, they will get as well. Amazing aggression comes out of Hammers, and a 3-0 before you even get to say a word, Shinyi.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But what we have to think about is how much are they going to get out of this? I mean, right now we do see T-Tigers lurking inside of, oh my gosh, what was I going to say? Yeah, we see him in the opposing jungle, and oh no, he does teleport back in time, but he only gets 1 minion out of that actually, which I don't think is the best. Like, what did they really get out of that? They're about 800 gold ahead, but in terms of jungle pressure, it's not that great. But nonetheless, a fantastic start, and it certainly will help with the mindset. Actually, I was going to talk about something else.
I was a little bit interested. You know, Max Green is here. He's substituting for Chicken 123 at the moment for Hammers, and I was wondering how that would affect them coming into this game. You know, this matchup between Rogue and Hammers, both these teams fairly evenly lined up as far as, you know, my personal placements on the ladder. So this game could be really crucial in dictating positional advantage further down in the season.
Yeah, definitely. But what I really want to talk to you about, and this is what's been Penguin's point, but with that Fortress and with that Alpha coming out on Hammer Esports, it's a very, very heavy dive comp. And it's something I know the analyst desk personally hates, but I think a Crystal Box could actually work really well in this situation, because power specs coming out from Hammer Esports does rely a lot on the attack of the pack. And with T-Tigers and Max Green in melee range, the Resonance will do so much damage, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that happening. But it is certainly something I would like to see at some point with maybe another Box Fortress matchup, but maybe not for this one.
Well, will be Max Green looking for a little bit of aggression onto Evolve here. The Lyra, very good at poking out, but T-Tigers is also here for Hammers to provide the pressure game. Will be looking to port back to base, but stopped up by Evo, a bit cheeky there on the Lyra to stop the ports, and that means T-Tigers is forced to go back to his jungle and farm on up. Is it going to be this weapon power? It does look like it will be a weapon power alpha. I don't know, man. I guess I understand that they have to vary their damage and what sources it's coming from, but weapon power alpha, I just haven't seen as much success on it.
Yeah, it's not something I'm overly fond of, and I think with that weapon alpha, you might even want to consider getting an extra Shiver Steel as well, just stay on top of them, just get that sustained damage over time. But we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, I think the alpha definitely scales up, the weapon alpha scales up a little bit longer than the crystal alpha does. But again, it's just something both teams are there just definitely playing out. It looks like we're going to be seeing that weapon Vox. I'm a little bit sad about that. It would have been fun to see a crystal Vox, but probably wouldn't work out too well in the end.
Right, yeah, and fun, but perhaps not effective here for Rogue as they're grouping up Hammers. Choke point, Hammy trying to lay a bit of damage down, but unfortunately at this early stage of the game, doesn't quite have any damage built up yet. Breaking point not finished for this box just yet. We do see the jungle intensify as we hit the 4-minute mark, and that's going to call for starting all over and Max Green to make their way down to this jungle shop, purchase up, and head back over to lane, ready for some more fun. Frostburn, it's finished here for Sibs on the Petal. That is a very early Frostburn as well.
Yeah, very early, but it'll be really effective there for them just to get some extra damage on top of them. It's... okay, so I'm just looking at this and everything's just very funny. We're seeing Evil going for the Crucible first. I was personally expecting a Fountain, but I think the Crucible makes sense, especially going into that carry Adagio. That Verse of Judgment, if you do catch all three of them, will do a lot. So it is a good pickup, and he does have the Imperial Sigil, and as long as he can place it on all the relevant team members, it should be alright for the first part of the game.
Yep, no, I appreciate the reasoning behind it. Just looking to try and sustain using that Imperial Sigil, as you said, block up the damage. But hey, look, here we go. Looks like Hammers want the fight as they dive in. Max Green, he takes a huge amount of damage though, is forced back as T-Tigers is also forced to walk away. They go straight on into Rogue, but it's almost like Rogue is a brick wall. You don't like running into brick walls, trust me, I've tried. Now we're going to see what Hammers can do as the aggression comes out.
They're doing a lot of poke damage onto all three members of Hammer Esports, and actually if you look at Rogue, they're looking very healthy, and that's in part down to the Lyra, and we do have the Adagio with that heal as well, but I think, especially when you're applying lane pressure, because the Lyra can get that area of effect heal down, it's so effective when you are trying to get that pressure down.
Diving onto Evolve, putting the damage down, Bright Bullet goes out, but Evolve's going low, and in fact too low. First kill for a very long time. It seems like Hammers, after such early aggression, would find more straight away, but no, Rogue's been patient, and now it's all starting to fall apart. A second go to them as they try to retreat. Sibs looking for Max Green, and it is going to be him using that fountain to escape. Sibs not able to find the killing blow, and now Hammers turn their aggression onto this turret. First brick to fall here for this team as the turret goes down. Sibs diving forward, but not able to trampoline to victory just yet. T-Tigers may have to use that termination protocol to try and trade a bit of damage over, as Sibs is trying to force it with his minions. But starting all over, he's doing a good job. He's attacking them, making sure they die before they blow up all over T-Tigers. And that's going to be 5 kills and a turret already for Hammers.
Very aggressive start for them, and I think the first 3 kills, I think in the first minute of the game, certainly did a lot for them in terms of the mindset that they're going into right now. Rogue, they're doing well. They're just clinging on. I think I'd like to see a little bit more aggression coming out from them. Right now, we're not really seeing that, and I think it will certainly help them a lot more once Evo does pick up that fountain. Getting that extra heal can go a long way, especially because you've got T-Tigers there with our termination protocol. It's not the easiest for them, but it's going to be interesting to see how they cope with this in the mid to late game.
No, definitely looking forward to it as Evil starts building in towards a fountain now. The crystal obviously great for the early blocks. Wasn't great enough though to save Evol's life. This gold miner being started up will go down fairly quickly. Wait before it goes out, but not quite timed enough to steal it away by Hammy. Would have been a pretty miraculous steal if he was able to hit it.
Oh yeah, I was just a little bit too out of range there, a little bit early, but you're absolutely right. Been the steal of the century there, had he got it. And I think we're just right at this moment in time. I think what we're waiting on is Hammy just to scale up a little bit more. He's got that breaking point going. Looks like he's gonna be going for that double tyrants build there. Not quite got that tyrants yet. If you look at Sibs, he's got that still sitting on that Frostburn. I think we are just waiting for that broken myth on him right now as well. And the Harry Esports are still doing a good job of applying that early pressure on. And I feel like Rogue don't really know how to contend with that at the moment.
Currently seem like there are deers in the headlights as a Shadow Glass going to be completed. Therefore, starting all over, has his 2 items now in favor of this Adagio. Going to start stacking up some damage in the extended fight, so keep your eyes on that. Fountain, it's completed for Evol finally, so a bit of extra healing for the Lyra won't go unnoticed. Now, we want to see Rogue start to unlock this box. Has that breaking point not quite built into the monocles just yet. It's very interesting. You have this Petal who has so much early game presence and a box with a lot of late game presence, but currently it seems like Rogue have no presence.
It definitely doesn't. And I think if you look at them, all 3 members, they're ranged heroes. There's not much they can do. And what I think what they need to rely on is just Evol using his bulwark there. So if we do see T-Sagers or Max Beam trying to dive on, just seeing that bulwark coming down, and just gives them an opportunity to disengage. Especially with Sibs on the pencil, she's got such a long range, and if she gets a chance to just stack up those broken myth stacks, which she doesn't have yet. And oh, hang on. Never mind.
Nice bright pro does disengage, but Sibs, he's caught out in the jungle, and he's just going to get blown up there by T-Tigers. The attack of the pack will go out and spot where Rogue are hiding up under these turrets, but no minion wave means no dive. They'll focus their attentions onto the sentry turret, sentry instead, and now the turret is going to go very low, almost just destroyed immediately as Rogue can't do anything to defend. Burst of Judgment goes out by starting all over just to make sure that Rogue don't try and re-engage, and now Hammer's just to disengage, walk away. Nothing Rogue can do about it.
Yeah, I think they're being a little bit too greedy right now just because T-Tiger is still very full health. Looks like they're not going to be just chasing after that kill. And it does feel to me that Hammer's Esports, they've got a lot of control over the jungle right now. We're seeing them playing a very dominant position in the lane, in the jungle, and certainly with a score of 6-0. They've really ramped up the gold lead there. I think we're sitting at a 6k gold lead right now. And looking at T-Tigers, he's just picked up the Metal Jacket. That is so aggressive. It's all about just getting into Hammy's face. And he's doing that every single time. It's working so well. This is what I really love about T-Tiger, is how aggressive he is.
What do you think of this Metal Jacket purchase over perhaps an Atlas Pauldron?
So, it's an interesting trade-off because you're not able to slow the attack speed, and especially with that breaking point on the Vox. You want to be able to slow down the attack speed because it makes it just a little bit easier for his other team members. And it's more of a utility-based item, but with this Metal Jacket, I think he's just trying to sustain a little bit longer while he's in their face. I personally would have gone for the Atlas Pauldrons, but I think the Metal Jacket could work as well, but we are seeing this weapon alpha, and we both said that we're not the biggest fan of it, I think, for this particular game.
Well, T-Tigers, he's making it work, showing us up here. 3-0 and 2, and looks like another fight may be brewing around this Crystal Sentry area as Rogue trying to put the pressure down and spot out exactly what Hammers are attempting to do. But as you said, this 6,000 gold lead, it's starting to run away. Hammers in a great position to look to take this first game. It's all up to them as there goes the attack of the pack, and Hammy, he's isolated, trying to get away, but now he's going away from his base, and down he will fall. The kill, it's traded. That's starting all over, going down, and T-Tiger's stuck in a reboot. So now he comes back up, looking for Sibs, trying to dive on, but these minions are doing work. He dives back, but it's going to be him falling. That just leaves Max Green to try to escape, avoid the ace coming through, and avoid he will do. Rogue not quite able to find the ace, but 2 kills go their way in a 2-for-1 trade.
And that's exactly what they need to be looking for. They need to be. I think if you look at the start of the fight, I think it did come down to positioning. If you look at so I think it started off that we did see Sibs and Evil slightly on the wrong side. They really focused on Hammy there, but with the wait for it, they really changed things around because it wasn't blocked. And I think that's the thing, especially when you're playing against the Vox, you do want that wait for it coming. You do have to anticipate that wait for it coming and get.
There's no ability to block it. Starting all over, T-Tigers both without reflex boxes, and Max Green hasn't got a Crucible.
Yeah, you need that Crucible, and they weren't able to block it, which is why I think Rogue were able to turn that around. They picked up the first 2 kills of the game. They were still lagging behind a little bit, but if they can continue to do so whilst Hammers Esports don't have any blocks, then it's fantastic for them. It's such good opportunities to fight.
Well, have to see if the Crucible or some reflex are prioritized here for Hammers. You said, you know, need to be booking that wait for it. It silences the entirety of people hit for a period of time, and I've seen teams just abuse that window of opportunity so much. Last week, Cloud9 played a fantastic composition with a Vox and a Catherine, and the silences were just so real. Unfortunately for Echo Fox it was, they just didn't have a chance to do anything in the moment. But now, Hammers looking to put the aggression on in Rogue's jungle once more, heading straight for the turret, and they've caught Hammy out in position once more. He's going to go straight down, dropped immediately, and Sibs short to follow. That's 2 kills for Hammers, just the positional advantage, winning them so many fights. They get that choke turret, and T-Tigers, he wants to take Evo down with him. Evo absolutely able to escape all the action, so will be Hammers disengaging once more. The position of Rogue, it needs work.
It definitely did, and looking at Hammy, he was so far forward. Starting over got so much damage on him. They were trying to. There was a bit of a 1v1 at the very start of that fight. Hammy took so much damage before he even used his wait for it. The Sonic Zoom wasn't enough at the end to save him, and like you said, it comes down to positioning. They were just in the wrong position. They were on the wrong side of the wall. It wasn't a great fight, and although they certainly have the utility to turn these fights around, that wasn't such a good example.
So now, prime time, they're going to look to get the advantage over this middle of the map area. It's just 30 seconds until the Kraken spawns. You can see reflex blocks purchased for starting all over, and Max Green going towards that Crucible and Aegis alike. An opportunity to block that silence if a fight does break out and Hammy is in prime position to hit it. They haven't seen much action from Rogue so far. Haven't quite been able to get themselves into a proper fighting position. Gold miner will be taken away, but 5 seconds left until it does disappear. I'm not sure there's any possibility Hammers secure that.
Definitely not. I kind of want to look at points at Sibs' build. That sounds a bit funny, but his items that he's got, he doesn't have any defense. I think he's just relying mainly on his trampoline there for mobility because it's not great and it's so easy for them to catch it, and he is going out very quickly in the team fights. And I think what Rogue need right now is just that little bit more defense.
Taking this crack down super quickly. It's gonna go before Rogue even get in position. The Imperial Sigil, it steals it away. No way that you just did that, Evo. He threw it out, but I thought that was impossible to steal. Now it's going to be Hammers looking to try and take this Kraken down as Rogue gonna get into position to try and stop the Max Green, already falling very low, starting all over as well. But it's T-Tigers taking down the damage onto everyone. Hammy and Sibs forced out the fight. Evo taking up huge damage. Tigers, he wants to go further as starting all over is able to take Sibs down. Prime directive lands straight onto both. Hammy trying to escape, but no way he does. 2 kills goes to Hammers, and this Kraken will go down. Even poor for, no, it will get the turret. There's no way they stop it before the turret drops, but wow, what a mistake from Hammers to allow the Kraken to be stolen.
It was, but actually it worked out really well for them in the end. That goldie's crept up more, so what we're seeing here is that Rogue, they gained like 900 gold, and then we see Hammers and they're gaining 1500 gold as well as the kills. And I think part of the issue was, I'm gonna focus a little bit more on the Lyre in that particular team fight, was that we saw Hammy and Evil together and we did see T-Tigers going after them. I didn't see the bulwark being thrown in once, especially if you've got Lyra going into the alpha. That bulwark is the tool that you need. It's that peel that you need for your carry. I didn't see that being used at all, and frankly that is why I think Hammy went down so quickly, and I think it was used a little bit earlier. He might have been able to get away.
Even though gold does swing towards Hammers once more, Rogue will be pretty content that they stopped the Kraken from entering their base with that steal. It's probably the best scenario for Rogue. in the end. Minion Candy purchased up there for Evil. This Crystal Sentry sitting on one more life, and so anything to try and stop Hammers from taking it out will be a win. Currently Hammers, they're just playing around the jungle, looking to try and find an advantage once more. Try and push Hammy, Sibs into the wrong place of the map so they can easily catch one of these two carries out.
Yes, and right now I feel like Rogue, I feel like the synergy is not quite there for this game. It just feels a little bit off right now, and I think Hammer Esports, I said that Hammer Esports are just doing such a fantastic job. They feel really together, they're really in sync. And I think positioning, the analyst desk to say at the start that we have been seeing kind of inconsistent performances from starting over. I would say this is definitely one of his stronger performances. Using that adagio, he's been staying far back enough, still doing a lot of damage, and he's not really getting touched by Rogue in this game. So
only when he dived into the middle of the fight was he dead for the world. And so yeah, no, positionally having a fairly strong game right now, but it's not all over yet. It's going to be Hammers looking to try and take away all of the jungle camps here. Just choke out Rogue. This Crystal Sentry going very low. The Minion Candy not even going to be used there by Evolve. That's it eliminated from the map, so we won't see it again until the next game. This Kraken is looking to respawn very shortly. In fact, I believe it's just respawned, but never mind. A fight. T-Tiger's diving forward to the attack of the pack, going in and starting all over, looking to lay down the damage onto Zibs. Hammy turns around. The wave for it goes out, but he gets dropped, and now they're looking to chase down this Hetal as well. Evo to body block. It will just be one casualty, but one is enough for Hammers to turn around and head straight back to that Kraken.
yeah, Hammy didn't even get a chance in that fight. He went down so fast. He has definitely been the main target there coming out from Hammer and Esports. Every single time they're just focusing on him, he is going down quickly before he's able to get too much damage. And I think the one game where he wasn't focusing too quickly, they were able to pick up the only 2 kills so far. Man. For Rogue.
Evo, get
hello.
pushed immediately straight on back. We're not going to see a repeat this time. The Kraken, it does go in favor of Hammers once more. A Metal Janet kit finishes there for starting all over, and the Aegis as well for T-Tigers. And now the last hurrah here for Rogue to hold on to their base. They need to win a fight and stop the Kraken.
It's going to be a tough call for them. What we're seeing right now, Hammer Esports are using that dive comp really well. T-Tigers and Max Green are very aggressive. They're just getting into Rogue's faces every single time. And with that Kraken there, you've got the split priority coming out from Rogue actually. I think we might be seeing a little bit of the start of this. The turret's down. Not too much damage on that Kraken just yet.
Yeah, look at T-Tigers. Straight on in. Hammy takes a huge chunk of damage and he's going to get chopped on by Max Green. Currently, it's not Rogue trying to turn the fight. Great right bulwark, but there's the first. It forces them to step away. T-Tigers, the Termination Protocol lands, but it's only weapon power, and it doesn't do enough. That's going to be Sibs dropping as he trampolines away. Hammy, they're next to follow, and Max Green will be traded. But the Kraken, it's already taken one of these Vein Crystal turrets. The second is sure to follow as T-Tigers starting all over. Will be hammering it on down. Just the Kraken and the Vein Crystal. Evo doing his best, but this Lyra, she just can't quite hold off. And starting all over, gonna lay down the hurt. But T-Tigers, he's taken the base, and that will be the first game. Head on over to Hammers Esports.
What a game that was. An extremely dominant game there coming out from Hammers Esports. They look very put together as a team, and I think one of their stronger performances so far in the past 2 weeks. And I think just that Fortress worked really well. T-Tigers on the Alpha, the dive was so strong. I just feel like Rogue didn't have the defense to really do too much against it in the trade-offs and the fights. Nothing much was happening coming out from Rogue.
They just weren't able to get into the fight, unfortunately. And I have to question the pedal pick. I don't think it was super strong. Obviously, we've seen great win rates on the Vox, but Petal is one of those curious heroes that, you know, if you don't get ahead early on the Petal, then you just don't quite do enough damage. However, I would like to hear Tasty Bacon's thoughts as we throw it back over to the analyst desk a little bit later on this Fortress pick. It seems like it's doing very well. We'll have to find out. Over to you, AJ.
Thank you very much, guys. Very impressive game one from Hammers, especially given what we talked about beforehand. I think it's interesting how successful they were with a draft that ended up being a lot like the one that you were talking to me about, Humanist.
So much success, and who would have guessed it, Bacon? Honestly, I didn't predict them to win.